Welcome back to my channel. It's me. Today I'm going to be reading Ghost in My House by M.W. Craven. This was published in 2022. Let's go ahead and get started. There's something in my house. It wasn't always there, but now it is. And I know this because when I leave the house, it goes away. But when I return, it's back again. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't say anything. It just is. I can hear people talking about ghosts. They say they're people who are stuck between worlds, unable to pass over for whatever reason. Some say they might have died in the place they haunt. Others say they were never really alive to begin with. I don't believe in ghosts, or at least I didn't until last week. Then I came home from work and saw her sitting in an armchair. She was beautiful, dark hair falling down her back, pale skin, big brown eyes, and she was real. I mean, I could see the muscles in her arms moving under her skin. Her mouth opened and closed like she was breathing. Now, I've seen a lot of dead bodies in my job as a forensic photographer. That's what I do. I photograph crime scenes, accidents, anything where someone has died. Sometimes I have to stay late and sit with the body until the coroner gets there. If there are no next of kin, sometimes I'm asked to identify the body. You get attached to none of them. Well, maybe you shouldn't get attached to any of them, but I certainly did not get attached to the girl in the armchair. I wanted to. There was something about her sad eyes that wanted to reach out and touch her, tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear, smooth the wrinkles from her forehead. But I couldn't. I knew the moment I touched her she would disappear, leaving only the faint smell of lavender and old books in her wake. She was gone. So I sat there and stared at the spot where she'd been sitting. I tried to piece together how long she'd been there, what had happened to her. I considered calling the police, but why would I do that? What would I tell them? That a ghost was sitting in my house. They would lock me up and throw away the key. They would say there was nothing in the house. I'd imagine they'd find a way to bring her back, even if it meant turning me into pulp. So I didn't call the police. Instead, I called the one person I knew who might be able to help me. Finn. I'd known him since high school. He was smarter than the rest of us. That's putting it mildly. He also believed things that most people didn't, or wouldn't, depending on what you asked him about. I dialed his number and waited for him to answer. The front door was open, so I stepped outside onto the porch. She was still sitting in the armchair, staring straight ahead with those big brown eyes. As soon as she noticed me, she got up and walked toward me. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest like a drum solo. I didn't want to run. I knew that if I ran, she would follow me. So I stood there and watched her approach. She smiled then. It was a sad smile, the kind that tugs at your heartstrings and makes you want to reach out and hold her hand. Only I didn't. I kept my eyes locked on hers, willing her to keep walking. When she was close enough, she spoke. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper. "Are you here to take me with you?" she asked. "Take you where?" I managed to say, hoping that she would leave. She shook her head slowly. No. She pointed at the armchair. "May I sit down?" "Sure." I nodded dumbly. She walked past me and sat down in the chair. I shut the door, then leaned against it, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. "How did you get in?" I finally asked. "I used to live here," she said quietly. "When?" I asked, wondering why I cared so much about this ghost and why I felt compelled to help her. "A long time ago." She looked at me then. "Why are you here?" "This is my house," I said lamely, hating the fact that I couldn't explain why I was more scared than I should be. "You live here now." She looked around the room as if she were seeing it for the first time. "Who lives here?" "A woman with a shaved head and a parrot." She laughed then, a light, tinkling sound that made me smile. And suddenly, I wasn't afraid anymore. I felt bad for her. I could see why she would want to stay here if she liked it here so much. Is there anything I can do to help you? I asked. Help me. She turned back to me, and I saw tears streaming down her face. Please don't send me away. I won't send you away. I promise. But then you have to go to work, she asked. Yes, I will, I said. Then I'll be back. Will you wait for me? Of course. And then she was gone. Hello. Is anyone there? No answer. Just the wind whispering through the trees outside. Who's that? A voice startled me. I hadn't heard him come in. Nobody. I lied to Finn. He was standing in the doorway, looking at me with raised eyebrows. Nobody? Nope. He came closer and I stood up. Why does it look like you've been crying? I haven't. I wiped my eyes quickly. Are you sure you're okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You're sure you didn't see anyone else? No. Do you want me to stay? That would be great. I was relieved. I had hoped you would ask that. It gave me an excuse to stay inside while she was gone. Plus, I didn't want to spend another minute alone with her. I knew what that was like. We sat in silence for a moment. I could hear the rain beginning to fall outside. The wind picked up and the branches scraped against the roof. Where did you meet her? Finn asked, breaking the silence. What? The ghost. Oh, I thought you couldn't see her. Only some people can. She's only visible to certain people. Are you one of those people? Seems like it. Then how do you talk to her? You just do. I shrugged. It's weird. I know. Did she say why she's here? Not yet. I think you should talk to her again. I don't know if she'll be here by then. Maybe you should try anyway. Okay. I went back inside and found her sitting in the same chair. She hadn't moved. Had she been here the whole time? How long had she been gone? I couldn't be sure. I didn't want to ask. Can I help you? I asked. She nodded slowly. Do you have a phone? I do. Would you like to use it? She stood up and followed me to the kitchen. I grabbed the first phone I saw and handed it to her. She took it and stared at it as if it were a strange artifact. Have you ever used a phone before? I asked. No. She shook her head. Then she looked at me with those big brown eyes. Where am I? You're at my house. Oh, she sighed. Can I call my mother? Of course. I reached out to take the phone, but she held it tight against her chest. It's just that? Well, you're a ghost, I said lamely. If I'm a ghost, then why can I feel the sun on my skin, the breeze on my face, taste the salt on my lips? Touch her, I blurted out. She looked at me and smiled sadly. Would you like to touch a ghost? Well, no. Not really. She stepped closer then, so close that I could feel the heat coming off her body. I could see the shimmer in her translucent skin. Her hair fell over her shoulder like a silken waterfall. And then she was gone. I stood there for a long time, listening for her voice, willing her to come back. But all I heard was the wind whistling through the empty house. Finn, what happened? I don't know. She was here a minute ago. She's probably gone. Now don't you go getting any ideas? She may be gone now, but that doesn't mean she won't be back. Yeah, and I don't want you doing anything stupid, like trying to tie her to the bed or put a collar around her neck. I wouldn't do that. Good, because if you did, I would smack you upside the head with this. He showed me the poker he had in his hand. Thanks for coming, Finn. Anytime. Just don't be a hero. Okay? Sure. He left then, giving me a final warning look before he disappeared into the night. I poured myself a glass of water and sat down in the chair across from the one she had been sitting in. I could still feel her presence here, like a shadow lingering on the wall. I waited for hours, but she never came back. In the morning, the sun streamed in through the windows and chased away the shadows. The house seemed empty, lifeless. I wandered through the rooms. half expecting to see her sitting in one of the chairs, but she wasn't there. As the days passed, I began to forget about her. I went back to work, picked up my camera, and started photographing crime scenes again. One day a new assignment took me back to the house. I hadn't been there in weeks, not since the ghost had vanished. I walked inside and felt a chill run down my spine. It was then I noticed the faint smell of lavender and old books in the air. I walked to the living room and sat down in the armchair. It was only then that I realized I wasn't alone. She was sitting in the corner watching me, her eyes wide with surprise. "You came back," I said softly. She nodded slowly. "You never left." She shook her head. "I'm sorry," I said, realizing how that must have sounded. "It's just that I missed you." She got up then and walked over to me. She reached out a hand and touched my cheek. I flinched at first, then relaxed into her touch. It was cold, but not unpleasantly so, like the first bite of an ice cream cone on a hot summer day. "I've been waiting for you." "For how long?" "A lifetime." Then she was gone. Author M.W. Craven was born and raised in England. He currently lives in a village in Suffolk with his wife and 2 children. Thank you for watching Ghost in My House by M.W. Craven. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share with a friend. Also, let me know in the comments what you thought about the story. If you want to check out more of my videos, just click right here or click here to see more from this author. I'll see you next time. Bye.